2 full years. That's how long a family in the 1800s could keep apples crisp, potatoes firm, and cabbages sweet, with no electricity, no refrigerator, no humming machine of any kind. The secret was a hole in the ground, dug to a very particular depth, lined and shaped in a way most of us have completely forgotten. They understood something we've lost, that the earth itself is a battery of stable cold. 6 feet down, the temperature barely moves between July and January. Master that single fact, and you can store a harvest through 2 winters. Let me show you exactly how they did it. The first rule was depth. Dig too shallow and summer heat seeps in. Dig too deep and you fight groundwater. Old builders aimed for the cellar floor to sit about 6 to 10 feet below the surface, where the soil holds a steady 38 to 50 degrees year-round. They chose a north-facing slope, away from afternoon sun, and away from any tree whose roots could crack the walls or whose thirst to dry the soil. Drainage mattered just as much as cold. A cellar that floods rots everything inside. So they sited it high enough to shed water, yet deep enough to borrow the earth's permanent chill. Then came the walls. Settlers stacked fieldstone or fired brick, but they left them unmortared in places, or used lime mortar that breathed. Why? Because a root cellar isn't a sealed box. It needs to inhale and exhale. They packed earth tight against the outside of those walls, sometimes 2 feet thick, turning the whole structure into a thermal mass that resists every swing in the weather. The floor stayed bare gravel or packed dirt, never concrete. That raw earth wicked up moisture and released it slowly, keeping humidity near 90%. High humidity is the real trick. It stops carrots and beets from shriveling into useless wooden sticks. Ventilation was the part everyone gets wrong today. A good 1800 cellar had 2 pipes, not one. A low intake near the floor drew in cool air, and a high outlet near the ceiling let warm, stale air escape. Because warm air rises, this created a slow, automatic current. No fan, no power, just physics. That gentle airflow flushed out the ethylene gas ripening fruit gives off, the very gas that spoils everything around it. Without it, one bruised apple could rot an entire bin in days. With it, the harvest held for seasons. 2 simple pipes, placed high and low, did the work of a modern climate system. Storage itself followed careful rules. Apples and potatoes were never stored together. Apples breathe out gas that makes spuds sprout. Roots went into wooden bins of damp sand, layered so none touched, each vegetable sealed in its own pocket of moist coolness. Cabbages hung upside down by their roots from the ceiling. Onions and squash, which craved dryness, lived nearest the vent, on slatted shelves. Everything had its place, mapped by temperature and humidity within that single room. A well-packed cellar wasn't chaos. It was a quiet, layered system, where every shelf and bin did a different job, all powered by nothing but earth and air. Built right, these cellars outlasted the people who dug them. Some still sit beneath old farmhouses, cold and ready, waiting on a harvest that never came. And here's what keeps me up at night. Nearly every part can be recreated today, with a shovel, a load of stone, and a weekend of work. No permits, no power bill, no dependence on the grid. But there's one final detail the old-timers guarded closely, a method for stretching storage past that second winter into a third. It involves clamps, straw, and a buried mound out in the open field. That technique deserves its own walkthrough, and next time, I'll show you exactly how to build one.